looks like we have a full house tonight, so this is exciting. We do not have special programming tonight, so we're going to go ahead and dive right in here at 7:04. So first we'll start with introduction of visitors. So if you're a visitor, if you could please just state your name and reason for being here. As a reminder, the little black box is in front of your seats. If you push the center button, the light will turn green and it'll be a microphone so that you can speak into it. So we'll start here with Natalie.
Hi, I'm Natalie. I'm a reporter with the Expo.
Hi, my name is Alyssa. I'm a photographer for the Exponent.
My name's Nick. I'm presenting a bill tonight with for the ad hoc committee for FSCL. I know I talked to some of you, but yeah, thank you.
I'm Tyler. I'm part of Director of Strategic Planning and Assessment, and I just wanted to check and send it out.
Okay, thank you. And then if you're a proxy, if you could please just state your name and reason for being here.
Hi, my name is Grace, and I am proxying for Aiden Bogard for the College of Education.
Any other proxies?
Yeah, hi, my name is Zach McClary, and I'm here proxying for Zach McClary.
Okay, we'll now move into roll call.
All
right, Senator Warwick, can you hear me? I think she's on.
Olivia would be online.
Olivia.
She's here. Proxy? Do you know who the proxy's name is? Okay. Is the proxy for Olivia Wyrick on the call?
Okay, got
Okay,
her.
that's
Thank
fine.
you.
Great.
Senator Ferguson,
Here.
Senator Hopfer,
Here.
Senator Bonnet,
Here.
Senator Bogard,
Here.
Senator Hockenberry,
Here.
Senator McClary,
Present.
Senator Leingar,
I'm here. It's Eingar.
Senator Guzman, Senator Guzman, no. Senator Dodonna,
Here.
Senator Chris.
What was that?
Senator Chrissy? Chris?
Chris.
I always forget. Every week. Senator Beatty. Senator Beatty here. Senator Jha.
Here.
Senator Griffin Little.
Here.
Senator Reed.
Here.
Senator Cabrera.
Here.
Senator Cadian. Senator Grisham. Is that correct?
Here, yeah, it's correct.
All right, thank you. Senator Light.
Here.
Senator McDaniel.
Here.
Senator Stowe.
Here.
Senator Guzman.
Here.
Senator Coffin.
Here.
Senator Reynolds.
Here.
Senator Burkhart. Senator Burkhart. Senator Agnew. Senator Kopp.
Here.
Senator Siobhan.
Here.
Siobhan? Siobhan?
Shavon.
Siobhan, I'm so sorry.
No, you're fine.
Senator Shy.
Here.
Thank you.
Okay, we have a couple new senators here who were actually appointed last night for the College of Pharmacy. So I'm going to turn it over to Elise. I believe all three of them are virtual, but we'll do the swearing in. So if you're a senator for pharmacy, newly appointed, you can just raise your right hand and Elise will swear you in.
Should I just do them all three at the same time? Sounds good. All right, so repeat after me. I state your name. On this. On this 28th day of October 2020, swear to abide by and uphold the bylaws and the Constitution of the Purdue student government. I swear to conduct all legislative business with complete honesty and with the best interest of Purdue University as my main objective.
Okay, thank you. We will now move into the pledge. And then senators, you can remain standing for the pledge of purpose. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Our purpose
is to be the voice of the Purdue student body, serve the needs of students in all university matters, and provide leadership that stimulates initiative, inspires excellence, and exemplifies professionalism. And above all, hail Purdue.
Thank you. We'll now move into executive reports. President Gilmore.
Hi, everyone. For our new senators and the exponent reporters, I do not always dress like this, I promise. It was Halloween, and I thought we were all going to dress up. Totally fine. But I'm supposed to be Sleeping Beauty. So now that that's out of the way, on to the real information. Next Monday, we will have an old master with us for cabinet. His name is Ted McKinney. He is now the current Undersecretary of, and I was trying to pull up his title before I started speaking about him, and of course I didn't get to it. But he's coming, he's an old master. He was in Purdue student government when he was here, now has done incredible things and works with cabinets of various, in the government, but then also in various companies. Here we go. Ted McKinney is a 2020 Old Master and former member of Purdue student government. He currently serves as the Undersecretary of Trade and Foreign Agriculture Affairs within the U.S. Department of Agriculture and Undersecurities. Often manages extensive portfolios within a cabinet department. Very impressive. The graphic will go onto Slack and in the internal newsletter this week, but please come. It's from 6:30 to 7:30 p.m. via Zoom. Specifically requested to speak with PSG members, so this will be a great opportunity to hear about his time, how his time as a PSG member translated into his incredible career and can help set you on the path, especially if that's somewhere where you want to work one day. So next Monday, 6:30 to 7:30 p.m. via Zoom. All the information will be on Slack. Outside of that, thank you all so much for dinner last night, and then Cabinet had a dinner with the whole Vice Provost of Student Life team. Great discussion, so really appreciate you all. Got raving reviews. Beth and Dean Katie send their thanks for a great conversation. And finally, we're kind of not winding down. We still have some time of the year, but I do want everyone to start thinking about transition documents. And so for those of you that have been here before, you know what those are, but it really just talks about what you did this semester so that next year it could be you, but it could be someone else when they come in for that position. They have sort of a so there'll be more deadlines coming out about that in the internal, but please do start writing down what you've been up to, legislation you're working on. Groups you've worked with. We'll also need this information to compile and make our end of semester report that we'll distribute to admin, to the campus, on our social media platforms. So just want to put that in your mind right now. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. On my end, I wanted to give a few updates from EPC. And so last night, I know it was brought up about the medical absence policy, so I forwarded that on over to the Teaching and Learning Office again today, so they have a chance to look at that, and hopefully we can bring that back up in EPC soon. Also, the mandatory grade updates bill should be up at the next EPC meeting, which is in a little under 2 weeks. And then finally, EPC is considering a bill that would extend the suspension of the ACT and SAT scores. So for those of you who don't know, this is new information for me, that this year Purdue Admissions is not considering ACT and SAT scores due to the difficulties many students had having access to be able to go to a test center. So currently this is just for 1 year, but there's a proposal to extend the suspension for a few years, maybe for juniors who didn't get to take the test this year and won't get to take it. So that's up for consideration. We haven't taken a vote yet, and it's just under discussion right now. So if anyone has any thoughts or ideas they'd like to contribute to that, I would be happy to hear them. I'm also planning to submit some of the research that senators did last year around this topic to the committee for them to look over. And then I also wanted to let you know that next meeting is our last in-person meeting, but we will have one more meeting then of the semester, which will be virtual. So if you have bills, resolutions, initiatives that you're working on that you want to get wrapped up and heard on the Senate floor before then, just be aware of those timelines. And then the student trustee call-outs have been scheduled, and so those are going to come out soon in the campus-wide email, but if that's something you're interested in, those are going to be November 12th, 16th, or 18th, all the same, some virtual and some in-person options. And then, as you know, no special programming tonight, but next meeting, I'm excited, we are going to have Dr. Venetria Patton, and she's leading the EDI task force, as well as is the head of the Interdisciplinary Studies Department, so kind of twofold there, questions and sharing for next week. Chief of Staff?
Hey everybody. So if you didn't see the Instagram post, this Saturday on Halloween is our boiler bash. We got approved officially. Dr. King sent me a message, so that is great news. And we got approved for up to 250 people. We are expecting that many people, if I'm going to be completely honest. We have a wonderful location in Croc Lawn, and today as well, part of the APF that was approved is that we can have some sort of blow-ups. And so initially, right, we were going for the dunk tank, and people were scheming to put myself and others in there. And when I called the person for it, they said, they were kind of shocked initially, one, that we were going to be allowed to have that. And it's such a large event. And then two, he said, I don't know if I really feel comfortable lending that out to you due to possible hypothermia and other things such as that. And so I said, well, we have several people on deck ready to go. We can just switch them out. They can bring dry clothes. And he was like, oh, I don't really know. He's like, it's pain and stuff. And so I said, okay, what else do you have? It come to be, he has several different kinds of blow-ups. So we have skeet ball blow-ups, football and baseball throws, and we're getting a wonderful deal for them. And so we're going to see what else he has that is also COVID-friendly. But those are going to be out there. There'll be a big draw in. Several of the committees are doing us a huge favor and running their own little booths. So we will have photo op booths, tie-dye socks using natural coloring, which is from sustainability. They're making it themselves right now. And there's lots of other things going on that's going to be great for the event. For those of you that have already sent me a message saying that you are willing to volunteer, thank you very much. We've gotten just a little bit over 20. If there are those of you who maybe didn't see the message in Slack, this is something that counts towards your volunteering requirement for the semester. So if you have nothing going on from 10 a.m. until probably just a little bit before 2 p.m. on Halloween, we could still use a little bit more help. And I just need you to send me a Slack message or talk to me right after, and we will get you something going on. For those of you that did, I sent out an email saying that we're going to find a meeting time. That is going to be 5:30 p.m. on Friday. That gives me a little bit of enough time to really, I'm drawing out a blueprint of Croc Lawn, trying to figure out where the stations are going to be and how many people we need in each spot and how we're going to control traffic flow with everybody moving through there trying to have a good time. So 5:30 p.m. on Friday. It's going to be over Zoom because space reservation that quickly is not usually a thing right now. And for those that can't attend in person or don't feel comfortable, will be able to come to the meeting. That's really the big thing that's out right now. I know Shannon has things to talk about with the election that GR is working with as well. And I think besides that, what I would encourage you to do is come if you can. If not, spread the word because we're probably, besides SAO themselves, the only student org that is so far this semester going to be able to run something like this. And so it's a big accomplishment, and it says a lot about the org that we are able to power through and still do something great for the students. So let people know that it's going on because I feel like a lot of people are really dying for some sort of a personal interaction like this and something fun to do on Halloween that doesn't put them in danger. Besides that, as the election comes up, please, I've been just going to encourage you, I'm telling everybody this, provide a warming environment for everybody. For those of you that were around in 2016, it was quite the haste. There was a lot of angst. There was just a lot of hate going around. And so for this election, I would just encourage you, we are going to have to be some of the leaders providing that space of a warm and welcoming environment because if we don't, nobody's going to. And as some of the leaders of the student body, I think that it is just a requirement of ourselves. So I would encourage you, please, keep that in mind as this approaches because it's coming up very quickly.
Thank you. Any other executive reports? Yes, Pro Tem Griffin Little.
Yeah, so as it was noted, we do have some new senators from the College of Pharmacy, so that's really exciting. So be sure to give them a warm welcome. I'll be getting your committee assignment soon. And then I wanted to talk about Senate duties. So if everyone could go into the Google Drive and just follow me real quick. We have a very great sheet that has everything laid out. So you go to the Drive and then go to Senate. And then it's right there, Senate duties. I've assigned dates to everything. They're in red at the top. So the outreach event, you need to have that by December 6th. You need to send your constituent letter out by November 30th so that you have time to tell everyone about your constituent event. Be sure you attend student councils, 2 of them, assuming that your college has one. And then you need to meet with your dean by December the 4th. So go ahead and fill those in whenever you complete those. You do not need to attend a BOD or a court meeting this semester because of COVID. And then lastly, your volunteer event, 1 a semester. So Vince talked about 1. If you have questions, feel free to reach out to anyone, but those are the duties and the dates by which you need to have those completed. If like you won't be able to have those completed by that time, just reach out to me and let me know. And then also for senators who were recently appointed, it's not expected that you get all of these completed this semester. If your student council only has 1 meeting left, just attend the 1 meeting. If your other senators have already met with the dean, they've already sent out the letter, then don't worry about it. Just work with your senators and see what needs to be completed, and sort of go from there. This is all really about communication, and if it's looking like something is unable to be done within this time frame, just let me or Hannah know, and we're happy to work with you all on that. So those are my updates for me.
Okay, thank you. Any other executive reports? Okay, seeing none, we'll move into committee reports. IA.
Hello, everybody. So IA had a fun, productive meeting the other night. We finished our Article 4 rewrites, and we will be talking about that next Senate meeting, most likely. And then we also started on the rest of the Constitution, but as there weren't really anything that needed to be touched on, we probably won't be submitting something to rewrite any of that. If anyone has any additional comments on the Constitution, we would love to hear from you. But if not, that process is pretty much getting done. Next, we'll look at impeachment and removal of office.
Thank you. FA?
FA has been working again on the small grants being our primary thing we're focusing on for this semester. We just recently had our first draft of our guidelines go out and had a lot of really good influence from a lot of different people within PSG. Our goal now is to sort of introduce those into the guidelines, move forward on exactly how groups will file for that funding and how exactly the mechanics of that getting distributed to people across campus. If anyone has any thoughts or ideas, feel free to reach out.
Thank you. CSRA?
CSRA has nothing new to report at this time.
And UAA?
So UAA has nothing really new to report. If you remember what I said last week, we're working on course evaluation being released to the students, and I talked with some people last night at the faculty meeting about that too, so we're meeting tomorrow night. And then, at our last meeting, we passed the Dead Week resolution. That's going to be on the floor, so if anyone has any questions, people from my committee can answer, as well as the authors.
Okay, thank you so much. Do I hear any informal discussion? Okay, seeing none, we'll move into old business. Do I hear any old business at this time? Yes, Pro Tem Griffin Little.
A motion to bring up Resolution 2036.
Second.
It has been properly motioned and seconded to bring up Resolution 2036, a resolution to condemn Purdue's Airmark partnership. At this time, we'll open up the floor to the authors of the bill and then move into discussion from the floor.
Hello, Is this microphone work? Okay, thank you. So, like I'm assuming most of you, I hadn't learned about this partnership until after it had already been relatively finalized, insofar as I can tell from reports. I heard about it from someone else who had severe problems with it. At the time, I was not particularly aware of why they had these problems. I looked into, or it kind of stuck in my mind because of how volatile the reaction was. So I looked into it further, and as I researched it, I felt less enthused, or I felt more strongly about my my critiques of Aramark's business practices, and then as a result, Purdue's relationship with Aramark. And so I've had a lot of fantastic help in writing this and in doing a lot of research to try and compile all of the issues that we had with this partnership. And so I've finalized it and have introduced it. We had a meeting with, I believe, 3 Aramark representatives and then 1 Purdue representative on kind of the contract negotiation side of things last Thursday, which did change some of the aspects of the bill, but did not change a lot. So I want to thank Hannah for that, or for organizing that meeting. So yeah, if there are any questions about specifics or problems with wording or anything in that matter, I'd love to have input and feedback.
Senator Shi, do you have anything to add?
So I did join relatively late in terms of the authorship. By the time I had already gotten around to it, David had done like at least 5 pages of work. We have in total, I believe, 43 citations of everything from universities across the nation, as well as in prison complexes around the nation, anything that has to do with Aramark. And ultimately, based on the research that we have done from connecting with students on campus, we feel that the best thing to do is to ultimately condemn the partnership for the lack of student involvement and the lack of transparency involved.
Okay, thank you. We'll now move into discussion from the floor. So tonight we do have Vice President Weinkoop, who helped with the creation of this contract, on the call. So as a guest, if any senator has a specific question for Vice President Weinkoop or a point you would like him to talk about, you will have to yield him time, just as a reminder. So we'll now open up the floor to discussion. Vice President Weinkoop, would you like to introduce yourself or give any opening remarks?
Yeah, sure. Thank you, Hannah. My name is Rob Weinkoop, and I'm Associate Vice President for Administrative Operations here at Purdue. And thank you again for letting me be a part of this. I did have a conversation with David and the other members and the other authors of this resolution to discuss with them kind of the background of how Purdue moved forward in a contract with Aramark, and quite frankly, how they've been a very good partner to the university across the board in terms of how they provided retail, but also how they've helped with Protect Purdue this fall. They have been a great partner for us thus far. I'm happy to answer any questions that you might have about the partnership and about how we work together with them and the good things they've done on campus so far.
Okay, thank you. Is there any discussion from the floor? Yes, Pro Temp Griffin Little.
So yeah, I had a question for our guest. So I first heard about this partnership, I believe it was in June. However, I did know a bit before that there was a prior desire to contract with Aramark a couple of years ago, and that there was some disagreements about that, and there was a petition that went around in a couple of Facebook groups. And then that's when I became familiar with the resolution, and at that point I believe it was already sort of signed, or that there wasn't, the Board of Trustees were going to be voting on that within the next couple of days. So there was very little time for students to even know about it, let alone become part of this, this contract. So I think where a lot of student concern was around the students not being able to work in these businesses with their like federal work study funds or things like that, or also have the benefits of working with a sort of public university instead of with a partnership with like a private contract. So I guess my question is, I heard that there was the intention of creating a sort of advisory board of some sort. I'm not exactly sure what parties will be a part of that, and if there were any intentions on having student involvement permanently on that board, graduate student, undergraduate students being involved in this board, and where sort of that is at this time.
Yeah, so that's a really good question, and thanks for bringing that up. A couple of things. There was not an effort several years ago to partner with Aramark. There was a study that was done in working with dining and student life to take a look at dining across the board in ways that it could be improved. But there was no immediate action that came out of that. And so I just want to be clear that there wasn't a previous desire to move forward with Aramark. It was simply a study. Secondly, work study is available under this contract with Aramark. We worked very closely with the university to make sure that could happen, and that's a pretty standard thing for Aramark to do when they do offer dining services on any campus across the country. And then lastly, there is an advisory board that we're working with Aramark to put together that would be primarily of students. They are early in the process of putting that together, but we would be happy to include members of PSG in that and work with you to put that together. Joanna Bullinger, who is the regional manager who manages the site here on campus at Purdue, would be happy to work with you guys to do that.
Thank you. Is there any other discussion from the floor at this time? Yes, Senator Stowe.
Do we have a timeline for the creation of that advisory committee?
They're actively pursuing it right now. They've already asked several students to be a member of it. I can't give you specifics on the timeline, but we can certainly get back together with you as early as this week to provide you a little more input into that and insight into that. Happy to do that.
Thank you. Would someone yield President Gilmore time? Senator Brooks.
I yield a minute of my time to the president.
Hello, VP Wynkoop. Thank you so much for joining us this evening.
Thank you very much.
Oh, yeah. I just had one question. We haven't had too many in terms of student concerns coming in directly, but this morning got one. And so for students that are employed by Aramark right now, is there a way for them to list their concerns and voice what's been going on to an entity outside of Aramark?
Absolutely. They can reach out to really myself or Brett Decker. Brett Decker works for me, and he is actually the contract manager and works with them on a daily basis. And then he and I would work together on those concerns and whatever those issues might be. But yes, I mean, reach out to me anytime or Brett.
Thank you.
Senator Shi.
So you're saying that the students can reach out to you at any time. How are the students aware of your contact information as well as how to get in touch with anyone involved in this?
Well, you've got it now. You're happy to communicate that as such. They may not be aware of it right now, but they certainly can do so after this meeting. But typically, when those concerns, I'll tell you what, right now, those concerns typically come through Protect Purdue right now, and they'll go from dining to us, and we'll take a look at those and respond as we've seen them. And we've gotten a few. Nothing major, but we have gotten responses, particularly through Protect Purdue right now.
Is there any further discussion at this time? Yes, Senator Reed.
I guess I just have one question. As Senator Griffin Little mentioned, this happened over the summer relatively quickly. I was just curious if there was any student input at all before a contract was signed, or before it was, were any students aware of this before it happened?
That's a great question, and let me I gave the senators a little bit of a background. I'm happy to give you a little bit more of the background. Really, this whole process started back in 2018 as we received feedback from students, from faculty and staff as well, that just retail could be better on campus. There could be more opportunities for solid choice for students and where to eat, more than just the retail or the residential dining locations and some of the other retail that was on campus. And so we really actually began to study that. We had numerous conversations with Aaron Banks and his administration. Through them, we did a series of focus groups we also looked at historic dining surveys that have been done over the last several years, really asking questions about what kind of choices and what kind of foods students wanted to see. And so we used those really starting in 2018 to get feedback. We also visited a number of different campuses across the country that we felt did it well when it came to retail dining on campus. We looked at Duke, we looked at North Carolina State. We also visited some food halls in Chicago as well, because those were the feedback that we were getting from students. We met with Cranert students. We talked to them about this as well and wanted to get their input. And we ended up doing really a master plan for the Purdue Memorial Union, kind of in conjunction with the Union Club Hotel renovation, because we wanted to make sure that whatever was done with the Union Club Hotel, you would have a similar kind of quality location, quality facility in the Union as well. And so we did do a master study. PSG was involved in that. PSUB was involved in that. Other student groups that were in the Union were involved in that. And kind of the key of that master study was that the ground floor should be renovated and should provide more food choice, more opportunity to students. And so we needed a retail partner to help with that. And we issued an RFP. Now, most of that RFP was actually issued right at the beginning of COVID, and we went through that process while students were out. So they weren't directly involved in the RFP or the negotiation of the contract, but they certainly were involved pretty heavily in what we put together and what went out as an RFP.
Senator Reed.
Thank you very much for that insight. I just have one follow-up. I just want to clarify. So students were involved in the fact that retail dining on campus and all that other stuff should be expanded, but they didn't have any specific input with the partner of Aramark and how that was determined?
They did not.
Thank you.
Vice President Walters, or sorry, Dar, can I be yielded a few seconds for a quick question?
Yes, would someone yield Senior Policy Advisor a minute? Senator Shi.
I yield a minute of my time.
Thank you so much. Thanks so much, Vice President Weinkoop, for taking the time to be here. I think apart from the student involvement and apart from a large part of the discussion that we're having today, I feel like a big reason that this resolution is on the floor is because the students realize that Aramark has been beholden to several different violations of what some would consider to be basic human rights. And I think that a big reason that this resolution is on the floor is in order to inform administration of the concerns that we have going forward with these kind of contracts. So I think the question I have to ask you, although it is while we are in the middle of a pandemic and obviously desperate times call for desperate measures, we just want to make sure that administration is taking note of the fact that there have been, for example, in the many examples that the resolution does provide, several instances where Aramark did not act in the appropriate behavior.
Yeah, that's a great point. And I do want you to know we went into this eyes wide open and well aware of some of those issues. And we have set up, we believe, a contract management approach that will, one, protect the university, but also keep Aramark beholden to food safety, safety of employees, quality of food. All of those were written out into the contract with them, and we'll manage them to those weekly, daily. I think it's important to know too that there were a number of items in that resolution that really, only showed one perspective. There are a number of articles that the resolution is based on that maybe have showed one side. I want you to be aware of that too. The Santa Rita prison example, Aramark's not they're not a party to that lawsuit. Cases like Butler, they had been in place for 40 years, and it wasn't this news report about bad food being served that caused Butler to move forward. It was simply new leadership in dining wanting to use a new vendor. That doesn't mean they haven't made mistakes. They certainly have in the past, as we all have made mistakes, but they actually have a very rigorous and solid program in the prisons that they serve at, called Into Work, where they work very closely with each of the prisoners and offenders that want to be a part of their food program, and teaching them the skill sets that they need to help them when and if they get out of prison. And it's been led from studies that they've done to reduce recidivism by at least 30%, which is really a high number. And so all the things those articles say, I think it's important to mention too that Aramark is very active in, particularly in their prison and their prison food system organization of working with offenders and prisoners to give them opportunities for real work when they get out of prison.
Yes, Senator Hockenberry.
So you just mentioned that Aramark is not listed as a defendant in the Santa Rita County Jail forced labor lawsuit. Is that a specific subsidiary of Aramark Incorporated that is not listed, no Aramark subsidiary at all, or has Aramark filed a motion or successfully filed a motion to have themselves removed from that lawsuit?
Senator Hockenberry, I don't know the specifics of that. I don't believe that they were named. I mean, the fact of the matter is, in those cases, they don't pay the offenders. The prison itself, the correction facility itself, pays the offenders. Aramark doesn't pay them. They work for them, but in the end, it's the prison that pays them and agrees to the wages that the offender receives, not Aramark. And we mentioned that on our call with you last week.
Is there any other discussion at this time? Okay, seeing none, we will move into a vote on Resolution 2036, a resolution to condemn Purdue's Aramark partnership. All those in favor, please raise your name placards. As a reminder, those who are joining us virtually, if you could give a thumbs up or raise your hand. All those opposed, same sign. Any abstentions? Thank you. With a vote of 1802, Resolution 2036 passes. Do I hear any other new business at this time? Or old business? Seeing none, we move into new business. Do I hear any new business at this time? Yes, Senator Reed.
I'd like to make a motion to bring up Resolution 2040.
It's been properly motioned and seconded to bring up Resolution 2040, a resolution to update Purdue's Dead Week policy. We'll first begin with discussion from the authors, then move into discussion from the floor.
Yeah, so I can talk about this a little bit. So last year we passed a resolution very similar to this one, but didn't really have time to do much with it. And since then, much has changed in the functioning of Purdue. So this is an updated resolution that includes legislation and wording integrating a lot of the online components into this. Generally, the gist of the legislation is to update policies that haven't been updated in 20 years on the 15th and 16th weeks of the semester, that deal with keeping final exams and final projects where they're supposed to go, and keeping assignments and other tests and things like that that aren't supposed to go in either the final week or in dead week, the 15th week. Keeping those out of the curriculum during those weeks. So I think that's generally it. If you guys have questions, though, feel free.
Thank you. Any other author? Okay, seeing none, we'll move into discussion from the floor. Any questions at this time? Yes, Pro Temp Griffin Little.
Well, first, I'm in full support of the resolution. I think it is a great way to actually help a lot of students. It was brought to my attention by Jeff that there are 2 names that were not updated from last year to this year. So I would like to propose a friendly amendment to just correct those. And I can forward this to Riley if it passes, so you have the spelling of their names. But the Senate chair for this year is Deborah Nichols this year, and then the EPC chair is Eric Atorola Castillo. So those names just need to be updated. So I guess I propose a friendly amendment to update those names.
Thank you. Is the friendly amendment accepted by the authors?
Yeah.
Okay. So the ending 2 names, with the chair of EPC being Dr. Oterola Castillo and the chair of the University Senate being Dr. Deb Nichols, will be updated in the bill, or the resolution. Any other discussion? Okay, seeing none, we'll move into a vote on Resolution 2040, a resolution to update Purdue's Dead Week policy. All those in favor, please raise your name placards. Those online, give us a thumbs up. All those opposed, same sign. Any abstentions? With a unanimous vote, Resolution 2040 passes. Do I hear any other new business at this time? Yes, Senator Dona.
Motion to bring up Bill 2041.
It has been properly motioned and seconded to bring up Bill 2041, proposal of PSG Ad Hoc Committee for Fraternity, Sorority, and Cooperative Life. At this time, we will begin with discussion from the author of this bill. So Nick, if you want to come down, I'll give you the mic.
You guys hear me? All right, cool. So I want to thank everybody for having me here tonight. I had the pleasure of talking to some of you guys before this, and I got some great criticisms, answered some great questions, so thank you for that. And I thank you to those who did call out the structural error of this document. I was not aware of kind of the exact format of how it should look, so I do appreciate you guys who did help me fix that. I was not trying to reinvent the wheel there. So yeah, I just kind of giving a lowdown of what this document really is. So Purdue's comprised of about 20% of its members are of the FSCL community, and that's going to be your fraternities, sororities, and cooperative life. And moreover, it'll be the Interfraternity Council, Panhellenic, Purdue Co-op, National Panhellenic Council, and the Multicultural Greek Council. Those are kind of the 5 main organizations that comprise the FSCL community. So, like I said, yeah, it's 6,000 students, approximately 20% of our university, over 90 organizations. So it's definitely a fair amount. What this bill is looking to, I guess, propose is that we want to kind of increase the transparency between, or I should say the first thing we want to look to do is increase the transparency between the Purdue student government as one entity and the FSCL organization as a whole and kind of link the two together. I just feel that, or we feel that, there's not a great link between the two. And I think increasing this method of transparency would allow for not only more of a voice from the FSCL community, but also from the Purdue student government as well. I know I talked to the panel edit president, Rachel Nye, and she had mentioned that a lot of the times, obviously, Asada can get very busy with her work, and you guys are all busy this year. I know everyone in Purdue student government is. How it can be difficult sometimes to get exactly what she needs, or if she needs just a quick question, an answer to that even. So, kind of range of variety there. And it can be difficult to always do that. So we think that having this committee would kind of, for that reason, make it more convenient and having, dedicated members to kind of serving the needs of all those leaders of the FSCL community. We think it's kind of imperative to do that. In addition to that, I had also mentioned that bring up just philanthropy in general. I know, Asada had brought up the ad hoc committee for mental health and all of the great things that PSG does, the marches that have gone on, just all the great events that you guys have brought about. We want most of the FSCL community is very philanthropic, and I think I'd mentioned the document. They've raised over $500,000 just in last year alone. So that's also something I believe that bringing that and kind of jointing that together can allow both communities to really thrive and increase numbers in that regard as well. So I think overall, those are kind of the main 2 points, is kind of bringing them together more for transparency and for the convenience of the members involved with the FSCL community, as well as kind of just increasing the link and the bondage between the two entities, since essentially that we're, 20% is a pretty big subset of the Purdue population. And I think increasing that voice and increasing that transparency, not only just between Purdue, but the Purdue student government especially, and the FSCL community would be very beneficial to all of the members. So that is essentially what I'm proposing tonight. I've done a fair amount of research on it, so I'd be happy to field any questions to the best of my ability if you have any.
Thank you, Nick. Is there any discussion at this time? Yes, Senator Reed.
I guess I just have one question. What needs do the leaders of the FSCL have of PSG? Like you mentioned, they weren't getting they weren't getting answers to their questions. Like, what would this committee, functionally do?
Mm-hmm. Specifically, I was not told exactly what the needs were by some of the individuals. They were pretty vague in that aspect, but I think it'd be more just more for the presidents of the five main councils and associations in which I named. I think it'd be increasing. So they're also striving for this involvement to be increased as well. They want to be more associated with the Purdue student government. They've told that to me. So I think it'd be more just increasing, I think they were speaking more to the philanthropic side of it, just kind of being able to work jointly with PSG to establish the marches that have gone on that you guys have helped assemble, and just kind of increasing events like that, and having us, because a lot of people in the FSCL community are left in the dark by a lot of the events that kind of go on here. I feel like they don't know about it. So I think they were speaking more to the philanthropic aspect, in that they want to be more a part of it. And kind of that's how the PSG would be able to better serve FSCL leaders and the presidents and such. And just also any questions they may have, or just it would be better to have that association kind of on deck rather than having every leader with a question have to go to Asada whenever that arises, per se. So I guess that'd be the main, aspect of that.
Would someone yield a minute to President Gilmore? Yes, Senator Press.
I yield a minute to the president.
Thank you. Well, Nick, you are doing an incredible job. I would just first like to say a lot of work has gone into this piece of legislation. Started at the beginning of the semester, had an incredible PSG application for the engagement committee, but then he talked a lot about the FSCL community, his own work within IFC. And as a part of our campaign, Hannah and I talked about connecting with these different spheres, whether that be athletics, whether that be FSCL, whether that be different cultural groups. And so we saw Nick and we were like, hey, well, we have this idea. We can't necessarily execute it on our own, but you seem to have a passion. So just want to give some historic context, as well as discuss on the campaign trail. We had the opportunity to meet with a lot of different sororities, a lot of different fraternities. I am thankful to personally be friends with Liam and Rachel and Adriana and And they just noted that it really depends year by year, depending upon the administration. Sometimes you have that natural relationship and sometimes you don't. And for an entire constituency to be based upon that relationship, it's unfair to them. So really this position as an ad hoc committee or whatever it grows to be is to make sure that there's always a representative and a voice for that body. And so with his extensive research has shown other universities that have done a position like this or even more extensive within their Senate, just to make sure that constituency always has a place. And as 17 to 20% of our student body, it is a pretty large base. And so I'm hoping that this will sort of open the door to go into other communities. And I am absolutely confident that Nick will do an incredible job leading that effort.
Thank you very much.
Is there any other discussion at this time? Yes, Pro Tem Griffin Little.
Yeah, I just had one question. So you mentioned that the FSCL sort of community endorsed this, and there's a lot of support amongst these individuals. But one of the things, both good and bad, about ad hoc committees is that anyone can join it, and that's great, as well as there's little or to no sort of direction about how it should facilitate its objectives. So do you think that there is enough support for people to actually join and be intentional about sort of the path that this committee would like to take, and do you think that there'll be enough individuals who will want to sort of be a part of this ad hoc committee?
I definitely do believe there is, and that has partially been through the research I've done, being a part of the community itself, and I think I had mentioned earlier that even of all the fraternity presidents, it was a 25-0 vote. So clearly I think the support is there, whether it's among the leaders of these respective houses or just kind of the community as a whole. I know a lot of freshmen and sophomores especially, they like getting involved in that kind of regard. And since a lot of freshmen compose, I think, a great part of the younger students, I should say, compose a great part of the FSCL community, I think that it'd be a great kind of stepping stone for them to get involved, per se, if they want to get into student government or some sort of leadership role. I think it'd be great for that, because I know, at least the way my house worked, or most Greek houses do, you have to be older to hold leadership positions among them. So I think this would be a great opportunity for younger individuals to kind of, test the water a little bit to see if they like it, and just for, juniors or seniors for that matter too, who have a passion for it. But I definitely do think that, like I said, of the nearly 6,000 students, I think there's definitely going to be some support for there. And as you had mentioned, it being an ad hoc committee, it's not going to be super intensive for a prospective member who may want to join. So I do not think membership would be too big of an issue. I know personally people that would probably want to join this. So.
Senator Reed?
As the guest speaker mentioned, or as the author mentioned, sorry, there were some small, I don't want to say continuity errors, but just some of these statements in the therefore clause would be better suited as whereas clauses. So I would like to propose a friendly amendment to move the entire second page into whereas clauses, and making the therefore clauses just that first paragraph, starting with that the Purdue Student Senate, as well as the other paragraph, the Purdue Student Government Committee.
Does the author accept this as a
yes, I accept.
Is there any other discussion at this time? Okay, seeing none, I can take the mic back from you, and we'll move to a vote. Okay, all those in favor of Bill 2041, proposal of PSG Ad Hoc Committee for Fraternity, Sorority, and Cooperative Life, please raise your name placards. All those opposed, same sign.
There's 19 up there, right? Or 23.
Any abstentions? Okay, Bill 2041 passes unanimously. Okay, do I hear any other new business at this time? Oh, yes, sorry, you can come back.
Thank you guys very much for giving me that time. Thank you.
Do I hear any other new business? Yes, Senator Reynolds.
Motion to bring up Resolution 2042.
Second.
It's been properly motioned to bring up Resolution 2042, a resolution calling for solidarity in the College of Education against racism and bigotry. We will begin with the authors of this resolution and then move into discussion from the floor.
Okay, hi everyone. So this was a resolution that Sammy and I decided that needed to be written in the summer when all the events with George Floyd and Black Lives Matter movements and police brutality and all that stuff has been going on. Because we felt this conversation, we don't want it to end. We want it to continue about what we need to do to fix these problems. So in our student council, College of Education Student Council, we passed this resolution. And so the resolution, it's quite lengthy. I apologize for that. Sometimes I get a little out of hand. But a lot of the whereas clauses focus on national things that have been going on. Like I said, a lot of the movements have been going on a national level. Also talks about the university as a whole, because Purdue unfortunately has an issue or has a history of racism embedded into the university. If you don't know about this, I mention a lot of it in the clauses, but also I recommend going to the Black Cultural Center because they have the history there, so it's quite enlightening. But as well as I include therefore clauses about the Black at Purdue Instagram account, which for those of you who aren't aware of what that is, it's an Instagram account where minority students can share their experiences with racism on this campus. So I included stuff about that as well as the College of Education specifically, because the reason why we wanted to write this piece of legislation is because as College of Education students, I know Sam and I both are going to be teachers, and majority of the people in the College of Ed are going to be teachers or work with students. And so we want to develop that culture of inclusivity and make sure that our students are feeling welcome, because you can't really learn if you don't feel comfortable. So that is why we thought this was a very important issue. So pretty much all that being said, the resolution calls for 3 things to be done in the College of Education. The first one is a statement in solidarity against racism and bigotry, because we do not want this to be accepted anywhere in the university, let alone specifically in the College of Education. So you can read that statement there. The other things is that Purdue College of Education updates their anti-bias training and diversity inclusion training to include information that was specifically addressed in the Black at Purdue account, as well as the Melanin Matters account, which is similar to the Black at Purdue account. So the reason we said this is because we want specific cases that have happened at the college to be addressed, because I think a lot of times training is hypotheticals, and so if we use real life examples like, hey, this is something that has happened to a student here, we do not want this to happen again, I think that would better train faculty and staff with these issues. And then the last thing is calling for an action plan for resolving future issues relating to racism and bigotry. For those of you guys who aren't familiar, this summer there was a former Purdue student, Maxwell Lawrence, who said some racist things on TikTok, and a lot of people felt like his punishment wasn't handled correctly, and we just don't want to see this happen. We want to be proactive in fixing these issues, so we are calling for an action plan. So say we have this issue is happening, then this is the punishment. And I know it can get a little sticky because we are a land-grant university, we are public, we receive funding from the state, and so there's issues with freedom of speech and all that stuff. But I think it's important that that the college isn't resolving these issues arbitrarily and that they're handled in a fair manner. So that is a long-winded way of saying what the plan is. The reason that we wanted to bring it to student government, because I know this is a very specific College of Education resolution, is just for support from you guys, because I think that if we shed light on these things that we are trying to get done in the College of Education, it could motivate other colleges to want to do the same thing, because I really think this is an important issue. And I would think that most of you guys would agree that this is an important issue that we want to focus on. We don't want to slow the roll of this progress being made. So that is the reason that we wanted to bring it to Senate. And I don't know if Sammy has anything else she wants to add. So.
Yeah, I'll basically just say, as the senator for the College of Education, I think we bring this mainly for PSG support, like Alex mentioned and Senator Griffin mentioned in caucus. I think it's really important to acknowledge the work student councils are doing and supporting them in that relationship building, and I think this is a really great way for us to signify that we're serious about supporting them. I'm definitely serious about supporting my council. I think this is really great, and I think it's a great way for PSG to simply support that they acknowledge what the council is doing and they think it's good. So, yeah.
Yes, Pro Tem Griffin Little.
Yeah, I just wanted to add that I'm really excited to see this because in my 4 years, being on PSG, I've never seen a sort of joint resolution almost with another student council. And I know PSG has always been trying to sort of develop these relationships with student councils because they do play a very integral part in how senators are appointed and how we function. So I think this sets a really great precedent for us working closer with different student councils, and I'm excited to see sort of how this will go moving forward.
Yes, Senator Reynolds.
I just want to say I liked our discussion in caucus because it reminded me of something over the summer. It was brought up that this is similar to the resolution that we passed over the summer about like entirely PSG, our statement that we had over the summer. And I remember right after we passed it, President Gilmore said we need to like stick with it. Like it's not that just because we passed it, boom, everything's fixed. We have to keep doing things that would fall under that. So I think I'm in support of this resolution. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other discussion? Okay, seeing none, we'll move into a vote. All those in favor of Resolution 2042, a resolution calling for solidarity in the College of Education against racism and bigotry, please raise your name placards. All those opposed, same sign. Any abstentions? With a vote of 2302, Resolution 2042 passes. I guess we usually clap for each person after their bill passes too. So this is also for the other bills and resolutions tonight. Okay, do I hear any other new business? Seeing none, we will move into announcements. Do I hear any announcements? Yes, President Gilmore.
It's not too late to join the Mental Health Action Week Committee. So we just divided up into groups. So I would say if you want to get involved, sooner the better, but it's definitely not too late. Also, did not during check-in, but at dinner, what was brought up was the exception process in terms of exception for coming, if you're residential, going online semester, vice versa. We've also been getting a lot of emails about that, so just as an update, meeting with Krista Wong-Davis, Hannah and I will be meeting next week, as well as, in addition, Dr. Rickus, and so just heard a lot from senators that attended that were a little bit disappointed in the answer that they got and still had questions. So if you have any specific questions that you'd like to be answered, our meeting's at Wednesday at 10 a.m., so please send them my way. Email is preferred, psgpresident@purdue.edu, before Wednesday at 10, so we can get those answered, but I will absolutely share minutes, and we'll hope to have more clarity on the process then.
Any other announcements? Yes, Dr. King.
For any other senator that is looking to talk with the administration, you can absolutely go to Hannah. If she cannot get you connected, I can. And so want to be able to provide you the most information possible in order to get what you need and to put for resolutions and bills. The other piece, what I also do, besides advise PSG, is advise all student organizations on campus. And so if your organization is looking to do an event or is bummed that they have not been able to do what they have done in the past, tell them to come talk to either me or any of my staff and we can help figure it out. So I know I got an ag retreat happening, I think next week, and working to make sure that can happen successfully. Off campus, might I say, at a Purdue owned property. But lots of ways to get things done. So if I can help either what you are doing as a senator or for the organizations that are based in your college, I would love to.
Dr. King, I heard a rumor that there will be no more in-person events after Thanksgiving. Is that true?
That is correct. So as the university moves to virtual, so events will also move to virtual after Thanksgiving. We await next week, like everyone else, to see how the spring will unfold. I think it'll happen just like the fall did. But, you know, that could throw me something new. So we can help people plan for the future. So, yes, everything after Thanksgiving will go virtual. Yeah. We can try to find ways. Like, try to find ways to do what you want to do.
So I did know that. It was just kidding about the rumor aspect. But that is to say, if you are planning things with your committee, we don't want encourage students to be here. We don't want people to feel like they have to be here to attend events. So please plan accordingly. That does not mean that work stops. It will stop, hard halt December 5th. But before then, we're still here. We're still kicking. So just want to make sure that that is very clear.
So if you want to give your constituents donuts, you got to do it sooner rather than later. Individual donuts. Yep. Okay, I have 2 dates just to throw out. If you're interested, on November 16th, we're going to be having a student-wide town hall with Purdue administrators between Protect Purdue and PSG about what next semester will look like. So as Dr. King said, there's a lot of announcements coming out in the next couple weeks about, will visitors be allowed to campus? Can you have more than one friend in your dorm room? What will student orgs look like? Any of those sort of things. So if you're interested in getting those questions answered, there's going to be a form to submit questions in the next couple of weeks, but you're also welcome to attend. That'll be virtual. And then as well as, I don't know if Vince and Asada are going to mention it, but just mark November 19th in the evening on your calendar. That's going to be our end of semester celebration. We'll get to come together. So hopefully that'll be a fun time before we all leave for Thanksgiving. Any other announcements? Yes, Chief of Staff.
Yes, I was going to say that till next session, but Hannah's correct. Everything she said is correct. To start thinking ahead, we're going to do certificates. So I don't know if, for those of you that were in PSG last year, we had that yearbook at the end of the year because we all got cut short and had to not be able to see each other one more time. So we had the yearbook and there were the superlatives that were in there. So this is going to be right up that alley, but not an official yearbook necessarily for right now. So certificates, which are superlatives. So if you have ideas on what some of those should be, please send them my way via Slack or email. And then we will compile a list and send that out before that retreat occurs. And we will be giving out certificates to those who have received the most votes on their nomination for a specific superlative. And then, yes, that's it.
Any other announcements? Yes, Senator Stowe.
Accessibility Committee will be having our second meeting, first in-person meeting, next Tuesday at 5 p.m. in Math 215. If you are interested in that, shoot me a message on Slack, email me, talk to me, just show up. We're going to be doing great work, so always looking for more members.
Thank you. Any other announcements? Yes, Pro Tem Griffin-Little.
Hi everyone. So I am looking into changing how legislation is submitted both to me and to committee chairs. If you don't know, it's basically everyone sends each other a million emails, and things get lost that way. And also, forwarding things and everything. It's just complicated. So I'm looking into sort of changing that. My only idea at the moment is through a Google form of sorts. But I'm open to suggestions if anyone has any grand idea about how to improve the efficiency and making sure that there's less room for error when submitting legislation. I would greatly appreciate it.
Thank you. Anything else? Okay. Seeing no more announcements, we'll move into Senate snaps. Does anyone have any snaps to give this week? Senator Stowe, then Senator Hockenberry.
I would actually like to snap Senator Hockenberry. You've done incredible work. You have fought the good fight even whenever people are talking down to you, dismissing you, shrugging you off. You are fighting the good fight. You are doing the moral thing, and I see that. I appreciate that. You are very appreciated. Your hard work is not unnoticed.
I'd also like to pass out a snap to Senator Shy for also being in the good fight. I know that it was probably very difficult for you and Senator Hockenberry, considering the circumstances and all the, I guess, lashing back you got. So I just wanted to make sure to tell you both, especially you, Senator Shy, you're very appreciated. So thanks.
I was also going to give a snap to my co-author, Senator Shy, and also my other co-author, Senator Ja, who's currently online. And I would also like to give snaps to all of the sponsors on this. I had a tremendous outpouring of support over this resolution after last Senate meeting. I'm very grateful for it. It made me feel very, or I don't think appreciated is correct exactly, but it made me feel like this was something that a lot of people were very passionate about, and relatively made me feel justified in my reaction.
Anybody else? Yes, Senator. Go.
I want to give snaps to everyone who dressed up today, specifically President Gilmore. It's incredible. Thank you very much. Thank you. I think Grace, myself. Oh, Veronica. So congrats. Thank you all. Happy Halloween.
If you're wearing a costume, we're taking a photo after Senate. But while I'm here, I would like to give a snap to Senator Brooks. For those of you who don't know, she was a former senator, is still incredible at her job, and is this me begging you to come back? Yes. But you did incredible. It's so good to see you.
Anybody else?
Yes, I'd like to give a round of applause to Dr. King. Thank you for everything you do for us. I think I'm speaking on myself, so thank you for everything you do for me. There have been several moments where things are in the air, not looking good, and all of a sudden Dr. King makes some magic happen and things are wonderful. So huge shout out to you. You are more than appreciated, and I don't want you to feel like I ever do not appreciate you, so thank you.
Anybody else? Okay, seeing no further snaps, the chair would entertain a motion to adjourn.
Madam President, I move you we do now adjourn.
Okay, it has been properly motioned and seconded to adjourn this meeting. So all those in favor, please raise your name placards. All those opposed, same sign. Any abstentions? Okay, this meeting is now adjourned. Have a great evening. We're here at the front if you have any questions.